Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of the Better World Challenge podcast. I am thrilled to bring you our guest, Ken Brown. Ken Brown is a local community activist in Lane County, but even if you're not in Lane County, you're going to get a lot of inspiring tidbits and information on how you can make a difference in your own communities, how you can use your own superpowers, how you can collaborate with others, and how you can find fit in your own lane. So let's dive in. Hi, I'm Justin Furtado, a social entrepreneur with a passion and experience in community engagement and philanthropy located in Eugene, Oregon. It's our responsibility to take care of our communities, have uplifting conversations, and make the world a better place. You're listening to the Better World Challenge podcast. Welcome to the Better World Challenge podcast. Ken, thank you for coming on. My first question for you is, what inspires you when you get out of bed in the morning?
Wow, that's a good one. I think knowing that there's practical ways that I can help someone. I don't think it. I think if everybody's honest, you look around and there's plenty to do. There's plenty of different ways that or situations that need some attention. And I think sometimes we may think, well, that's for somebody else or that's too big. But I think what's driven me for a long time is just knowing that, hey, just get started, get up and do something. And there's always something you can do. So I think I get up and I don't think it's a lot of it's pre-planned, though there's the planning that goes to big events and things like that. But I mean, for the most part, it's just, who am I going to come in contact with today? What issues am I going to find that I could be a part of today and maybe make good change in that area? So I think it's just having that attitude of, kind of take the blinders off and look around and see what's happening around me and how can I be a part.
Yeah, I love that. It's that get after it mentality. And my next question for you is, can you talk about your story to get to where you are, to the community activist that you are now? Why does it matter so much to you to wake up and always be looking for things and ways to make a difference, in especially in the Lane County community?
I think starting kind of at the end of that, which is the Lane County community, is I would hope that when we live somewhere, and I've been a Lane County guy for all my life, minus a little bit of time where I was overseas and doing some other stuff in another state. But for the most part, most of my years are right here, and right here being Lane County, in this area. So to me, watching it from the 60s now, the all the way till now, and seeing change and just being a part of it. I think I would say because it's my county, because it's my state, because it's not me personally, but I've taken ownership, I think, in where I live, and I want it to be the best it can be. And the best doesn't mean it's my way only. The best means it's the best for all of us. We want to make this thing so that everyone who lives here thinks it's a great place to live, as I do, and many others do. I think the story happens that I grew up in a family where my dad and mom were people who would take in the homeless probably before there was they had a title. It was someone, it's when you felt pretty safe to give a hitchhiker a ride or things like that. And I just watched them. We weren't a family of a lot of means, but they would take even the little that we did have and share it with others to try and make their life good. Bring them home, give them a place to stay, let them stay in the camper, whatever it would be, give them a bag of food, let them go in our garden and take stuff out. I think I just learned and watched some pretty good people that I cared for, and that I had great respect for, and they were my mentors even after that. And then I got to go overseas and live in some places that I realized when I came back, man, with the all that we have, we could make this place a really great place to live, because I've been in places where they don't have anything to work with, and you're trying to make a better place for people. We have a lot of resources here, and I think they aren't always used to the best of their ability. So I think I got a group of like-minded people together who wanted to start the Hope Project, and they just said, let's look at fast response things that we can do in our community and make a difference, be it a backpack for kids or shoes for a certain school, or, you can see, go online and look at our list of things we do. We don't necessarily sit down and go, here's what the year looks like. We kind of go week by week and go, what's needed? And then the fires came, and then obviously that put that just was a whole different thing that nobody had experienced. It was kind of our 9/11, so to speak, and everybody just had to jump in and find their part, or at least many people did, and find their part and say, what can we do? And we had to do it quick, and we didn't always know the answers, and there was no rules to go by of, here's what you do in a natural disaster situation. You just jumped in, and people came alongside, and those who couldn't actively do it donated, and here we are today. Because I think for us in the group of guys that I serve with at the Hope Project, it was right in their wheelhouse going, let's just go do. And if people want to come alongside of us, that's even better. Let's find people that just want to touch these people's lives and help them. And we're continuing to do that. And we're continuing to help people with just other needs too. But I think, the reason it's pretty strong with me is I had some great mentors growing up that said, look, touch other people's lives. You got a lot going for you. You'll always have that, but touch people's lives. I work for a company, Rexius, who my job is to go in the community and find ways we can touch, people's lives, and that our company can make a difference in Lane County. So I'm lucky enough to have, I think, that some early examples of it, and I'm lucky enough to work for a lot of years in a company that wants to do the same thing. And I'm really lucky to have a group of people come alongside me in the Hope Project and say, hey, let's touch Lane County.
I really love that saying of like, let's touch people's lives. And I hear like this ownership, this responsibility for taking care of, the community that has grown and raised you to be who you are. And you just want to give back. And I think that's such a wonderful thing to do. And my next question for you is like, the Hope Project has really filled a lot of voids, especially you're talking about, the holiday fire, the holiday farm fire. Like what brought about, what's made you want to really start the Hope Project? I hear you just like filling voids, but was there a certain catalyst that, helped you start it, or you just went with it?
Boy, I think there was I was surrounded by this group of 5 guys who are the Hope Project, basically, businessmen who I think felt the same way, in the sense that we all had lots of our needs met. And they were all men who were doing things anyway. In one case, one guy was going on mission trips all the time to help orphanages, and take his family and do some things just individually. Another guy just was a guy in the community who was trying to find ways his business could, touch the lives of people. So it was 5 guys who came together and said, hey, we could do a lot better if we kind of pooled our resources and put ourselves together. Ken, you're out there in the community. Find us ways we didn't want to overlap. We didn't want to do something somebody else was doing. We wanted to do things that needs that were being missed in the community, and to try and meet those. And so these guys came together, and we've done things from, our first venture at Autzen Stadium, there was 12,000 people that came to get a backpack. We planned for like 4,000, and 12,000 came, and just things that we really weren't good at or ready, probably didn't walk through all the steps to know what we were doing. But I think our heart was right and our passion was right, and it's grown from there, and we've become much more organized. We've become much more focused of what we do and what we don't try to get involved in. There's as you know, we're Lane County has per capita probably the most nonprofits, of anywhere in the U.S., which is a good thing. Sometimes I think people, think, oh man, we're fighting for different things. But I think if we all look and said, what's our lane? What's our strength? These guys are doing that. Let's stay away from that. Well, these guys do that well. We don't need to be involved. But what can we do that nobody's doing? Where can we fit in that and provide help and support and meet the needs of people, or groups of people, or whatever it may be that other people aren't doing. And that's kind of where we've come to. We got a big warehouse that's just always full of stuff, and from Christmas gifts to food to beds to whatever it may be. We try to meet the needs of people that we find along the way.
what's our lane in Lane County is kind of what I
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
there. And so, yeah, I almost I'm envisioning like the Hope Project really kind of like, keeping some structures of the house up, just like, basic needs, going and, fixing and doing repairs. And I think that's really awesome. And you talked about like this group of guys that came together that are like-minded, and you want to pool together resources. And, can you talk about like collaboration and how important it is to, work with other community partners to meet some of these needs?
Oh, you bet. In fact, let's take the Holiday Farm fire. I think if you look, we're not out there to, pat ourselves on the back or put our name out there, but we've got some recognition because of that. But I'll tell you what, it's not the Hope Project. Just then, the day that the fires hit, two of my friends, who, if you talk to them, their passion is exactly like mine, and that would be Amy Newport from Kendall Cares and Alan Benavides, the general manager of the Eugene Emeralds. Those guys love this community, and they work as tirelessly as anybody to help. And when the fire happened, our phones, we called each other, simultaneously. It was one of those times where you couldn't get through to the other person because they were calling you. We all three talked and said, we got to do something. We didn't even know what we were going to do. But since then, the triad of those three groups coming together have done, hundreds of thousands of dollars of things, and tens of thousands of meals, and helped people, and still helping people. We were up there this week providing needs for people, in need. We provided a Christmas party for the families who didn't have. We just bought 2 vans for the school district who lost theirs in a fire. So I think I'm a big believer of the reason I said, we try to stay out of other people's lanes is I love to meet with other groups all the time. Sarah Koski. I could go down the list of people that I love to meet with and find out, what are you doing? Is there a way we can help? And if not, tell us some areas that you don't think are getting, touched, and maybe we could do that. I think it's vital to have open dialogue and open communication with all the nonprofits, so that it's not me against you, but it's us helping this community. And if if the Eugene Mission does what they do so well, we're not going to try and house people or bring people into a housing situation, or bring them into recovery. There's so many groups that do things that we don't even need to think about. What we do need to do is talk to everybody and say, what's missing, and what do you do well? And in some cases, like the fires, you get three groups together, and you can do just so much more with the resources that come in, not just financially, but the number of volunteers that now are brought to the table, and the way that you can serve. And Alan and Amy knew people that I didn't know, and I knew people that they didn't know. And we brought this giant group of people together, and pretty soon we had hotels that were working with us, and companies, restaurants that were working with us, and just, the list is huge. That people came alongside, not because of one group, but because 3 groups decided to come together, put all their resources together, and bring all their volunteer resources and their outside resources together. And man, it made a world of difference. We did things that not one of the 3 groups alone could have done, but we were able to do because all 3 of us came together. And so many other people in the community. I couldn't name because we don't have time, but I could go down the list of people who have given, both financially and of their time and of their employees, to serve and to help and to use their vehicles to transport things. It's been kind of almost unbelievable when you sit back and think about it, but it was because you had not just crisis. I think crisis brings us together, but you had people who said, hey, for a while, we're just going to put off what we do. Let's go together. How can we all make this thing work, and how can we have the biggest impact? On day-to-day stuff, I think that there's a strong need for us to know what the other person's doing, and again, how can I help you? If it can I give you some of my resources? There's many times I've opened up my warehouse and said, you guys do a great job of this. I have some things in there that you can use. Come in and get them and take them to the people that you deal with, because I'll never be able to touch those people, but you will, and I've got the resources, so do it. And many people have done the same thing for me. They've said, Ken, we have this item, or we have this truck, or we have whatever, and you really could use it when you do this. So I think knowing who does what, and I think knowing how you can help others. And I know, again, I think it sounds crazy, but staying in your lane, like you said, in Lane County, really makes up the impact bigger. I think sometimes we try to do the same thing that somebody else is doing just to do it better. I think that's a big mistake.
I think the same thing, and that is a big mistake. It's like we all got to figure out our own puzzle pieces to put together, and then draw in those other puzzle pieces, and fit them all together to make Lane a the holistic county that it is. And for someone like myself, I just graduated from University of Oregon. Do you have advice for if there's another fire that happens in June or July, if me and my friends want to go and do something? Do you have advice on how I can just go and do something like you and Alan and Amy have done for this Lane County community?
Yeah, I think first of all, let me say this, and I don't mean this to say that your question wasn't good, because it's a great one, but I would say this to you first: don't wait till there's a crisis. Get your friends or your people together and say, where's our passion? What do we or who do we see as the people that we maybe our heart breaks for the most, or that we see a need that we are really talented in. There's a lot of people doing behind the scenes things, whether it be graphic design or lots of things like that, because that's their skill. But man, they're making a huge impact. We have a videographer that has kind of taken our story and put it out there on the internet. Well, that's changed what we did, because people saw that story and went, we want to help, we want to give, we want to be a part of it. And it's impacted us. I can't tell you 1,000 times of what we would be able to do. We couldn't buy vans for people. We couldn't provide 50,000 meals. We couldn't put on events for 600 people. We just couldn't do that without people out there hearing our story. So my thing to anyone would be, look, what do you love doing? What is your heart? Where do you see things? And then I think what happens is, by the time we experience something that comes along, you go, you know what, we're ready to go, because we know what we can do. We know what we do well, and we fit in here. If there's a fire, if there's a flood, if there's an earthquake, whatever it would be, we're ready to go. And so I think the thing is not wait for crisis, but do it now, so that when crisis comes, man, you're ready to go. The thing that we could do, the three of us could do together, is we had been doing a whole bunch of stuff individually all over the community. And when something big came, we just knew we could come together, and we had all these resources of these things we were doing on a regular day-to-day basis. We put them together, and it just fit really well. When there was when the holiday farm fire hit, and I encourage you or anybody listening or that wants to do something to do the same thing. Sit down today and start saying, the group that I hang with, the people that I'm with, that want to make an impact. What do we like doing? Who do we like doing it with? Where is there a certain part of town that we have a heart for? Is there a certain thing that we have a heart for? Do we have connections and resources that we know can do this sort of thing? That's what I would say to start to do. And I mean, do it tomorrow. Do it the next day. Just start. Like I said, when I get up every morning, I think there's something to do. I may not know what it's going to be that day. I do a lot of times, but for the most part, I just know there's something to do. And because I work in a certain lane, I know who that's going to be with, and where the calls are going to come from, and kind of what I'm going to be ready for that day.
So it's like pooling together the resources that we have now and not waiting for a crisis. It's taking action now. There's always things to do.
Oh yeah.
So that's definitely something I believe in. And, I look up to you and Amy and Alan, and being able to go and do all these certain things. And I think sometimes maybe my own self just tells myself that, like, I'm not quite into the community. I just graduated. I'm making all these excuses, but I just got to go and do it.
Yeah, and I think two things. One, we can be our worst enemy in the sense of, well, I'm not Alan, I'm not Amy, I'm not either of them. They run in lanes that I'll never run in, and they probably, if you would talk to them, say the same thing about me. But what I do is I look at them and think, I love that, and I could do that. Or when I need something that's in there, I'll call them and go, you want to do this together? You want to do this together? After the holiday farm fire, when kind of the news, went away, and you know how it is, the next crisis, the news goes there. And then it was COVID, and it was a vaccine. Well, the problem was you still had all these people with no homes, and kids with nowhere, no internet to do their school, and just all the issues that stayed with them. but the limelight wasn't there anymore, and the news crews weren't doing stories on them anymore. But our thing was, look, we can't drop them yet, and we still haven't. We just knew that there was still stuff to do. So I think sometimes we're our worst enemy, and we think, okay, I can't do that, or I'm not them. Man, I get up and say, what can I do then, and who can I help, and who am I that that I fit into the community. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. You can sit for a long time and go, okay, Justin, what are we going to do today? Let's sit and think about it, and tomorrow we'll get get started today. I mean, do something tiny or small, and then the next day you'll realize that was pretty good. I did that. Let's do something else. I mean, that's really how it starts. Is I find something to do and someone to help, and it becomes a passion. It becomes I won't say a job, because it's never a job, but it becomes my lot in life, that this is what I do, and I do it well.
Yeah, so it's these baby steps to getting to where we want to go. And 2020 has been such a wild year, and obviously we're in 2021 now, and it seems like the Lane County community has come together more now than ever. And I just want to know, what are some of the biggest things that you learned from 2020? And the follow-up question is, like, what does a better world look like for you in 2021?
Wow. Well, one of the things I learned was this, is that despite, let's walk through, we have COVID hit. We have race relationships were probably at an all-time low. We have the Holiday Farm fire. We have an election that was tearing people apart. I mean, 2020 just, man, if it was going to happen, it was going to happen in 2020, it seemed like. So what I learned was this, though: in spite of all those things going on, some of them at the same time, people in crisis can put away what they believe and what they think, and what is that thing that they want to argue about to help people. And it really took place. There are people that, I guarantee you, if we sat down and talked today about things that are going on, in our world this week or last week or whatever, we probably wouldn't see eye to eye. But because now we've had this connection of helping people, the conversation would look a lot different. And we would probably say, they would probably laugh at me and go, Ken, I can't believe you think that. And I would say to them, what in the world are you even thinking? But the one thing we would agree on is that when we put those things aside and our resources together, be it just our breath and our day to get up and work together, man, we can get a lot done, and we can accomplish a lot. We may not ever change those things, those political ideologies, those, spiritual issues, whatever they may be that we have differences in. The thing we can change is our local community and the people that we touch. Will I ever, see perfectly eye to eye with everybody I work with? Not a chance. There's not a chance. I mean, we would get done helping people, and on the ride back from Blue River, we would have these discussions about, I can't believe you believe that. I can't believe you think that, or what's going on here. Didn't change the fact that we knew we needed to work together, and we did, but it changed the tone of how we worked with each other. And I think I took a little more credence in listening a lot more to what they had to say. And they did the same for me, because they saw, and I saw, that our hearts together, or our passion together, was really, man, we got to help people. And let's do that. The way we could do it was locally. We couldn't do anything about COVID. We can't do anything about how the vaccines are given out. I can't even really do anything about, decisions are going to be made in Washington or whatever, except by my vote. But what I can do is get people together and go, we can touch this. What does it look like? Here's my biggest fear for what comes up next is we forget about how well we work together, and we go back, to doing our separate thing. I think a perfect 2021, or a good 2021 to me, would look like all these people still sitting down at the same table. And I know we can't do that physically, but sitting down together and talking and saying, hey, where are we? What still needs to be done? And if something else comes up, how are we going to jump into it with the experience we've had? I think obviously people need to go back and do what they're really good at and their specialty. But I think also to continue to not wait till there's something that goes on, but to have these times when we can all sit down in smaller groups or whatever it may be and go, hey, let's review what we did. What could we have done? How can we do it? What's still left to be done? Have we, because the media has left, have we left anything out there? Have we stopped talking to people and meeting their needs and finding out what they really need? In the area of the McKinsey and Vida and Blue River, are there still people that need us? This week I went up and delivered a group of people in Portland. We found out what they needed, and that was just like hand tools. We had truckloads of shovels and rakes and wheelbarrows that were brought to us from a group in Portland that we took up there, so people can continue the work that needs to be done on their sites. People who have moved into trailers or tents or motorhomes, they don't have big ovens and lots of things. Some of those things are borrowed and they've been donated and they're just not up to speed. So we took crock pots and things that the people said, this is what we need just to cook and to survive and to be a part. I think that we need to have this listening ear as a group continually. And even though you're not hearing about it every night at 5:30 and 6 on the news, know that there's still need and there's still things going. And we, not the Hope Project, not just one group or two groups or three groups, but all of us working together can still really touch, because there's still a lot of need that's happening up there.
Absolutely. So let's continue to have dialogue. Let's continue to take action and just help people, especially in 2021. Let's put our guard down and work together with, people, no matter what they think and believe, because, if we can come together, we can really accomplish anything.
Yeah, I think that was one of the biggest takeaways for me is that, look, I'm never going to, I probably used to be a guy that would, if you're going to work with me, man, we're going to believe this. And I've realized we don't get much done that way. Or we don't get as much done. I'll admit the guys that serve with me and a lot of the people that probably come and join me are acquaintances or friends, or we've had relationship and maybe we see things, at least a certain way, but we can't forfeit the people who don't see things that way and not have them be a part. I can't tell one group, look, you're not invited to the table. You're not invited to help these people because you think differently than we do in a certain area. That's the most ridiculous thing in the world. We need everybody and everybody's thoughts and everybody's way of life to come together and meet needs. It's not about our own at that point. It's about, hey, I'm never going to change you. You're never going to change me. So good. Let's laugh about it and eat together and touch people's lives.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for your time today, Ken.
You bet, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Better World Challenge podcast. I hope you're feeling inspired right now. To find out more about how you can make the world a better place, check out our website at thebetterworldchallenge.com. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because together we can really make the world a better place.